Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more updates, like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, 0277-128-777, showing on your screen as well. Please, I want you to join me listening to what today.
I'm doing very well, and thank you for mentioning my name the right way. This is the first time any media house has mentioned, but I'm not surprised you are called Senna. So,
in fact, people have taken issue with me because I think yesterday, someone sent me. In fact, I don't know the person, but the person says he went to school, he was your classmate, right. And that I was making a mistake occasionally with the pronunciation
of my name.
So then I realized that I need to be careful how I pronounce the name.
But my name has been assassinated several times, and I'm used to it. So,
assassinated?
Oh yes, misspelled, mismentioned, all kinds of things. But I understand, so I'm fine with it.
ACP retired Dr. Benjamine Agordzo is our studio. It's our guest in studio this morning. Sorry, I nearly converted you into a studio. First, let's start with one simple exercise. Your niece, who is with us, has a tendency of taking things that everything is hers. So I realize you have two books. So you give me one, everybody will see that ACP has given me one book. It is mine. So that the woman will not come and take it that the book belongs to you. So I'll take one book from ACP. In fact, I'll show you the book that he's written subsequently. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it on his Facebook page. He's granted interviews on it. ACP, please.
Oh, definitely. One is for you.
Thank you.
One is definitely for you. One is for my sister. And definitely Eric will have his later.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. So this is the book. Yes. Benjamin K. Agordzo, From Persecution to Freedom. Yes. Reflections on my journey through the justice system in Ghana. Yes. It's a book that you need to get and read. In fact, you only shared I think is it page 1 on your Facebook page?
Yeah, yesterday. I will be doing that. I will be doing another one today.
Okay.
Yeah, some portions, some excerpts.
Okay.
Just to tease people to get a book. It is not about just getting the book, but it's also about understanding the system that we are working with or within.
Okay.
To reinforce the fact that although we have a justice system, we should as well call it an injustice system.
Okay. Because
if you look at what I went through, even with all the status and my background, my professional background and educational background, and yet I had to struggle to be acquitted, then you can just imagine what the ordinary person who is not lettered, who is not that experienced, must have been going through. And I have held the view since, or maybe the view has been reinforced because as a police officer, I've known that people could go to prison being innocent. But it's been reinforced that there are too many people in prison who are innocent. And I could have gone to prison just because the state, led by the Attorney General and the BNI or NIB, have decided to target me, fabricate stories, and make sure that they get people who are who think alike, just to support their cause, to push me into prison.
So you still insisted. In fact, and I reading what you put to your Facebook page yesterday set the tone for what the book was about.
Definitely.
The story about Bright Allen.
Yes.
His arrest. And how your name came up.
Yes.
Among others. So from that, it's clear that even the story you heard tells you you're one of those who were high on the list of persons to. But why do you think?
Exactly the point I sought to make. You'll observe that even before they got to see my name associated with tag platform, I had been targeted.
Okay.
But And I'm not surprised. You know, we have all been in this security business for some time now.
Okay.
I know that my name has been on the defense intelligence radar for some time, because I've been on the Police Watch. There's a platform that we use to the police personnel and some other media people. And then there were some comments that if you read the book, you get it, that there were some comments that we were making and then some arguments, and I was saying that was after a certain media personalities were allegedly tortured. And I said that our president has the ultimate responsibility, especially as a lawyer, to deal with this kind of issues. Otherwise, it become. And then people took me on and described me as being disloyal to the president. And for that matter, my name was with the Defense Intelligence. Then I gave that lecture, that IDEG lecture, where I critiqued the system, particularly the appointment of the IGP and certain other things. And so that reinforced their desire and decision to really deal with me. Because even after that one, I received a lot of calls that, look, are you not afraid? They are coming after you. They will come after you. So the only thing they could do was when they got my name associated with Tag Platform, they thought they had gotten me. But, you know, they didn't really do. I can tell you from all this now, they are very, very unprofessional in their investigation. Either they were malicious, or they were unprofessional, or they were both.
Okay. Malicious, unprofessional, or both.
Yes.
Okay.
Malicious because they just wanted to get at me.
Okay.
And so they didn't care whether to fabricate stories or not, and which I believe they did. But they were also unprofessional because even if you were malicious, you should see that there's no way you could easily connect this person, and yet they wanted to do it. And in this, you see the gaps. I wasn't surprised then that they got to court before they realized that I was not on certain platform that they had thought that I was on. And could you even imagine that Francis Abuaji of NIB could come to court and say, okay, even though there is nothing to indicate that he discussed a coup plot with Dr. McPalm, when Agordzo spoke to McPalm on WhatsApp, it was possible that they discussed, though the court stopped him. The court stopped him. Are you saying it was possible? And then he held back. That tells you that they were just speculating. And that is why this whole trial for 5 years was and is still persecution and nothing else. And I have, chronicled every event from the day I was invited to the time I got to the place, the interrogation processes, my 1 week stay or 5 day stay there in the BNI, my stay at police ministries, police custody, the IGP's custody, the court processes, everything, even the gestures of the judges and what it meant. I have chronicled everything.
In the book?
In the book.
Everything is in the book?
Everything is in the book. And the judicial biases that we had to suffer, the inconsistencies of the judges, their biases. It's clear. It's very clear. And I say that I am ready to defend everything that I've written in this book. The fact that they even use some senior journalists to put out some issues against us, and particularly against me, when they knew that it was prejudicial, and yet they made it. Everything, even if a pin dropped on the ground, I chronicled it.
I see. How? Were you keeping records?
I didn't go to school for nothing. Besides that, I have been an investigator for well over 35 years.
Okay.
And therefore, from the beginning, I knew there was no way they were going to succeed in convicting me. I knew. Unless, even if they wanted to, there was no way they could do it. So for me, I was resting assured and then trying to get everything. Now, you were asking whether I was having notes. Initially, I didn't have any notes, especially the BNI, but I was observing and keeping everything in my memory. Then when I got to the ministry's police station, I started jotting. Then when I got to the IGP's custody, which was more like a house arrest, I started typing. And by the time I was granted bail 2 or 3 weeks after stay there, or maybe almost 1 month, I had written over 100 pages.
Really?
And by the time judgment was given, I had finished 26 out of the 28 chapters. In other words, I was writing as the trial went on. And when I was free, I went to court, and I was not hiding my notes and pen. I was having my pen and my notes and writing anything that I wanted to write. Anything that happened, I wrote it. And when I got back, I would sit down, and then maybe spend some hours trying to put something down. And that is how come that January, the case finished in January, the judgment was given in January, and by March, January, February, March, I had finished this book.
Why did you decide to do that? What prompted you?
Thank you very much. Right from the beginning, I foresaw it, but as the processes began, I saw the interrogation, the weaknesses, that there was the unprofessional conduct of the BNI, the police, the CID, the Attorney General's Department, and even some of the judicial biases in the courts. So I started right from the beginning to chronicle these things, just so that I can provoke some debate.
Okay.
Just so that others can learn from my experiences. Just so that others will not repeat this thing against innocent people.
Okay.
I am very sure that as a result of this, the BNI, and I know they are reading it, the kind of interrogation they do, the manner in which they do it, they will be very careful.
So you critique everything that was done?
And I did not just critique it, I researched it. So I mention an issue, and I tell you how the Constitution talks about it, how the police regulations talk about it, and then I'll go in for best practices. For instance, interrogation. Francis Abuaji of NIB will say that, it is not a requirement that we should have a lawyer or a counsel before doing the requirement. I have proven him wrong, and he must learn from this book. And not only him, the BNI themselves, the NIB people, and all the police officers, they must learn from this. Whether they like it or not, it is a wrong notion.
Okay.
Once, you see, the whole process of questioning and interrogation are part of the arrest system. And the Constitution tells us clearly that as soon as you arrest the person, you must read the rights of the person to him. So how come that you say that you are interrogating the person and yet his lawyer cannot be present? I mean, how can you say that? Okay? And there are some weird things that they do there that people should get to know about. For instance, you get there, you write your statement, and you find out that there is no independent witness, only to come back and see that an independent witness has endorsed it. They did it to me, and I am challenging them to this. My lawyers were there when I wrote my statement. They did not introduce any independent witness. Yet when I returned, after some time when I returned, somebody had endorsed the statement. So these are some of the practices that we must not accept.
Explain that to those of us who are not police officers and haven't gone through the prosecution system. What is an independent witness, and how important is that?
An independent witness, usually we say when you are doing a confession, but in a very serious case, an independent witness must be present to say that, to declare that you made a statement on your free will.
Okay.
And that nobody tortured you.
Okay.
You didn't do it under any duress.
Okay.
That is the essence of the independent witness. Because if somebody goes to court and says that, look, this guy who is alleged to have killed this MP, what's the name?
I think he has.
Yes. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yes,
you see that he's making some wild allegations. Yes. So if those allegations are true, then what happened? Okay, even if it's not true or whatever, once he makes those allegations, then you can be sure that the court will decide to do what we call trial within trial. They will put the trial aside and then have to deal with the issue whether he made those statements under duress. You understand? Now, so you want me to write a statement. You caution me. You tell me I have my lawyers and other things. I could have my lawyers and other things. Then you never introduce, even in the caution, that an independent, I was making it in the presence of an independent witness. You didn't say anything like that. There was no independent witness present, only for me to return and see that somebody has endorsed it as having been present when I made the statement. These are some of the things that I want the world to know. Okay? These are some of the things that I want the world to know. And we must be cautious of it. And they are able to frustrate lawyers. If you read my thing yesterday, you see that Lawyer Daudu was prevented from entering the interrogation room. In fact, it almost turned into a fight. And Lawyer Daudu confirmed this to me. You understand? So I'm not just narrating a hearsay, something that has been narrated and then confirmed by a lawyer to the accused person.
That's quite interesting. And I told my producers, because I haven't really read the book, I will just focus on how you came about this book. A few things. Because this seems to have been a learning curve for you yourself. You've been an investigator yourself for many years, a senior police officer. At the time you were arrested, it took the whole Ghana by surprise, because people had this high regard for you, your honesty, your truthfulness about what needed to be done about the police service among. But it seems there were things that you learned from going through. What were your major lessons about the system?
First of all, let me put it this way. For me, I've always thanked God for whatever I've gone through, and I, as a Christian, I believe that God allowed it to happen for a purpose. And secondly, God knew that I could carry that burden. That is why He allowed me to carry it. And you could see from my demeanor and everything that it never weighed me down in any way. I was really, really.
You must take a level of assurance and confidence for you.
I was very confident. You know, right from the beginning, I knew that I keep telling people I didn't know when it was going to end, but I knew how it was going to end. There was no way anybody, any court, not even a kangaroo court, could convict me on this, because they had no evidence and they knew it. But coming back to the lessons that you are talking about, the first lesson is that everybody is vulnerable.
Everybody is vulnerable. I never thought that I was ever going to enter police cells and sleep there, let alone BNI, but I found myself there. And that is why when we are talking about matters of justice, everybody should be concerned. Because you never know how this system, justice system, which I call injustice system, currently constituted, is an injustice system, could find you, could concoct stories and push you into that system. And that is why everybody should be very interested in whatever happens. And we should not be too hasty in drawing conclusions. That once somebody has been arrested, that person... And another motivation is this. You see, we are interested in events. We are not interested in the processes and the procedures. The interest is in events.
Events. We are not interested in the process. So one, Agordzo has been arrested and accused of high treason. He has been acquitted, thank God, and that's all. Those are events. We must also be interested in what are the processes that Agordzo went through. Okay. Are the processes very are the processes fair?
Yeah.
Could any normal person have gone through this process and succeeded? No, that's the point. And that's why I love one person, Professor Asari, who wrote the foreword to my book. He said something, and that's exactly the point that I sought to make. That I believe that if those who are convicted now had the same experiences, background, and resources, they may not have been convicted. And I'll use only one example, maybe a few examples. There were too many gaps in the investigation.
Okay.
And the benefit of the doubt must go to the accused person. But you see, they did not have the resources and then the experiences to push it so hard. You go and arrest somebody, and in a case as high as high treason or treason felony, you claim to have searched the person. Those items you claim you have taken, you never took pictures of them. You took pipes and other things you say you are alleged to have picked from there. Then you return to say that the pipes had been have been turned into bombs. Now, how did they become bombs? Were they bombs when you picked them? Or they were just pipes when you picked them? You never took pictures of them. So how did they turn into bombs? And who turned them into bombs? The people have denied. So how come that they are convicted? And who else is the witness there? Now, you did not cordon the place. Radio Gold, assuming a Radio Gold has become a crime scene, the first thing is to cordon it off and make sure that nobody enters the place. Okay. You left the place for 3 days. You didn't cordon it off. You didn't declare it a crime zone. You returned after third day and then went and picked some things in the drawer. Who placed them there? The person that you claim was his is in your custody. How did you get those things? How did the things enter there? So, when you were leaving, you now removed every CCTV camera and accessories. And until today, nobody can trace them. Are you getting the weaknesses I'm talking about? Now, they are so-called star witness, AWAF. We depend on the credibility of witnesses. Credibility of witnesses is very, very important. Now, you go and say that Awam is your main witness, who took pictures and other things, and then who was the one that you planted amongst the alleged coup makers and other things, who took the videos and other things. It was clear from the beginning that Awaf enlisted in the police and the military with somebody's certificate. The person surfaced and even made a case at the CID headquarters, which was never investigated. Nobody bothered to investigate it. This same Awaf was involved in land guardism, and he was involved in a murder case. At the time that these things were happening, you quickly acquitted him at the level that is so suspicious, and I want to see the basis of that acquittal or whatever, the reason why he was not prosecuted, why the Attorney General decided that he must not be prosecuted. And then so these are questions that one must ask. Now, you claim that they discussed the coup and agreed on a particular platform called the Tag Executives platform. Read everything in that Tag Executive platform, and there was nothing like an agreement. They planted somebody called Dr. Sam, who raised the issue. And this Dr. Sam was sacked, was removed from the platform because of his utterances. And these things are clear. So where did you get all this evidence? But you know something, like I said, these people are not, excuse me, and they should forgive me if they thought, they are not as sophisticated as some of us are. And therefore, they were able to push this agenda and finally got them convicted.
So you're saying that even your co-accused were convicted?
Yes.
If they had your resources?
I'm telling you, they would never have been convicted because there were too many gaps in the investigation and there were too many concocted stories around it. And can you imagine that you are taking pictures and videos? Some of the videos are 3 minutes, other videos are 20 minutes, other videos are 1 minute, other videos are... That tells you that the videos were doctored. The videos that were presented were heavily doctored, and there is complete evidence that they were doctored. Now, the only thing that could save those people was to get an expert who will come to speak to the videos and prove to the court that the videos were doctored. Now, did they have the wherewithal to do that? They tried. They did everything they could, but they could not manage it. So, come to think about it, how come that Lieutenant Colonel Gameli was acquitted and discharged? I was acquitted and discharged. These poor guys were convicted. It tells a story. And that is the essence of my book.
In fact, a lot of you are expressing interest in the book. Kindly send your details to 0599-922-922. 0599-922-922. In fact, there are many people who are asking questions about, I am outside the country, can I get a copy of the book?
We've actually sent forwarded copies, posted copies to people in France, Canada, US, and other places. There's a contact person. Once you get that person, I will let him liaise with you. He'll bring you copies. And if anybody needs copies, it's a matter of knowing that, okay, it will cost so much. The book costs 300, and he will check, he'll go to the post office and find out how much it will cost, and then you send the money to him, and he will send it to you. Many people have received their books outside this country.
So kindly send your details to 0599-922-922. There's a WhatsApp number. Just send a WhatsApp message to 0599-922-922. We'll get you those details, and then they'll send you a copy of the book. Like I said today, the focus is not entirely on the book, but you mentioned something. Defense intelligence, that's the military.
Yeah.
Why would the police officer be on the radar of the military?
That's a curious thing, but you see, defense intelligence also deals with issues that threaten the peace of the nation.
Okay.
And then things like when they consider you to be, so they work together with the NIB.
Okay.
And DNI. So my investigation, for instance, started from the defense intelligence.
Okay.
Before it was. In fact, the whole investigation started.
So you're saying that defense intelligence considered you a threat?
Yes, they considered me a threat. That's what they did. And it was also enhanced by the defense minister, Dominic too. Okay. Actually, I am still on a platform with defense intelligence, Alert with Adam Bona platform. I think you've heard that before. And then there was this issue of civil uprising, which we were discussing. Okay. There was an issue where somebody posted a headline which we read as to the effect that civil uprising is imminent in Ghana. So we started discussing, because it's a security-oriented platform. So we started discussing, and I expressed my opinion as to why we should. It is imminent, and what we should do to avert it. Okay. Now, these things, people agreed, others disagreed, and then we left it there. Then, when Dr. McPalm and others were arrested, I'm an open person, you know. So I mentioned on the platform that I'm surprised at this, because I know this person. Then one person asked me, you say you know this person? Yes, I've met him before. I know his passion for rule of law and then a humanitarian whatever, because for me, he's the main essence of becoming part of the TAG platform was his medical outreach programs. And I can tell you before I go on that there are lawyers, professors, and other people on that platform who paid. Some of them paid even in dollars for those medical outreach programs. But I paid $2,000 and they took mine to be for the coup d'etat. Oh, there are people who paid more than you. Oh, people paid more than me. People paid in dollars. I'm saying people. There are lawyers. I don't want to mention anybody's name, but I know lawyers who are still practicing in Ghana who paid in dollars. I see. And yet they didn't go after them. That's why I called mine persecution. You know. And then soon after that, Dominic Nitu now reposted my comments on that I made in respect of civil uprising, and then added his own words. His way off the mark must be brought to order. On a WhatsApp page? On a WhatsApp page. And it is still on the WhatsApp page. That is why I have dared him since 24th of January to come out. And he has not spoken. Because he knows that all the people on the platform know. They are other ministers on the platform know. They are communicating. Have you heard any MPP communicator or anybody speak about this issue? They will not, because they know that what I'm saying is true. So the man threatened me, and soon after that, I was invited to BNI. I was invited to Defense Intelligence.
But at the time you made a comment, did you think it was going to go this far?
No, I didn't. It's an open platform where people express their opinions on security issues. Okay? So I made that comment, and after that, he came out with those threats. I protested, and then the administrator of the platform called him, and then the conversation is even captured here. The conversation between me and then the administrator or something is even captured here. And so at the end of the day, he said, okay, he has spoken to him and that he understands. But soon after that, I was invited to Defense Intelligence. And don't forget, Defense Intelligence is under the Minister of Interior. Yeah. And so I'm not surprised.
Minister of Defense.
Minister of Defense.
Okay.
So I'm not surprised at all the turn of events, and eventually the case was transferred to BNI, and all that, all the negative and all the gymnastics and other things went on till.
So you still insist Dominic Nitiwu is an architect of it?
Dominic Nitiwu is behind my arrest. He orchestrated this whole thing together with General Addo, who is being retired. Let me tell you something. Go and do your own investigation and find out the people who are witnesses in this whole case.
Okay.
And see where they are. Where is Awaf? Go and find out where Awaf is. Go and find out all the so-called shambolic witnesses are. They have been given bigger appointments. I don't want to go into details, but I'm telling you that is why this whole thing was orchestrated. You see, this whole thing was done to make certain people relevant.
To make certain people
personalities relevant. Go and find out the personalities involved in this, and you see how relevant they have become.
I see. Now, if you join us, I'm having a conversation with ACP retired Dr. Benjamine Agordzo. In fact, Agordzo. Is he the same mistake? Agordzo. Is he? You hear something consistently becomes a way, and I'm sure you know his story, how he. From where he was. In fact, there were lots of people who expected very high things of you. After watching you, that IDEC presentation, your frankness, the fact that it seemed you were very concerned about the police service, people expected you to be given an opportunity to perhaps implement some of the ideas you shared in a higher office and not to be persecuted. When you gave the IDEC lecture, was it clear to you that perhaps you have said too much?
Let me put it this way. Those who have known me are never surprised at hearing what I say or whatever. My IDEC presentation, or even listening to me now. Remember, I could have been quiet after my acquittal. I could have sat down and then rested and said, okay, thank God. But I'm not the type who will just keep quiet over certain things. And this is who I am, right from school and even in the police service. And if you read my book, it will tell you much about me, to the effect that even at training schools, I have left some mark there by opposing certain practices. In the police service, I have had challenges, even in Bolga, where I was removed from the police service because I decided not to take an unlawful order. That is me. And so you see that people, and CODIO and CDD and IEA have given lectures there. So it was only the IDEC one that really seemed to have blown up, and then people got to hear much more because I don't know, but maybe God decided to make it that way. But I've been always talking and critiquing this system. Those points I made at IDEC, I started making those points many years back.
Okay.
And I started teaching about them many years back. You know, I've started lecturing on those things many years before that time. It was just maybe fortunate or unfortunate that at the IDEC presentation, the IDEC issue, the other presented a bigger platform, maybe, for the whole world to hear about it. And maybe it also went so viral that, interestingly, before I got to Haiti, people began to recognize me that, you know, the Ghanaian who spoke like this. And I was like, wow. Because I gave that presentation, I think 5 days after the presentation, I was
in Haiti.
Yeah, I was in Haiti.
And people had already
recognized me, and then they were talking about it and showing me the video and all the things that I said.
That's very interesting. In fact, I was talking about before I get there.
Yeah.
There was a comment you made when I spoke to you on phone.
Yeah.
You said, I think, did you say everybody knows, but you are suggesting that you do not wish one of the political parties well because of what you had gone through.
Oh yes, I'm willing to repeat that. The fact is that this current administration is the one that mistreated me.
Okay.
Is the one that cut my career short. Is the one that persecuted me. Nitiwu was the one who orchestrated this whole thing. Then Godfrey Dami was the one who did all the gymnastics and even told me in the face in the presence of my lawyer that your client is not part of this. We only added him. So right from, and these things are all chronicled in the book, and the circumstances under which he said it. So with all this, why should I wish this government well?
You do not wish them.
I don't wish them well. I will never wish them well. And I pray to God that he should. The wickedness of the wicked must come to an end. This wickedness of the wicked, because they are really wicked. Do you realize that even if they were a bit humane, they could have found a way of apologizing to me? This is an attorney general who always want to go on appeal. Have you heard him say anything about appeal? This is somebody who on the day of the judgment claimed that he told his colleagues that he would have been pained if I had been convicted. That tells you that he knew what he was doing was wrong. And so he would have been pained if I had been convicted. And yet had not had that spirit of humanity to say, Ben, we are sorry. And even try to, by way of even any negotiation in terms of compensation, they have not tried anything. So why should I wish these wicked people well? They are wicked to the extreme. Very wicked to the extreme. Extremely wicked. And I cannot wish them well.
And you're dragging the whole administration, the party involved in everything.
Everything. They are all part of it.
And when you say the rule of the wicked must come to an end,
I'm wishing from the top to down. All their tentacles must come down so that they will learn that there's a God who rules in the affairs of men. No, frankly speaking, and I pray about it as well.
That the rule of this administration must end. Everybody, nobody should have the opportunity again.
No, but what else do you want me to wish them? Because they were all part of it. They were all part of it. Did you ever hear anybody in the scheme of things, their own thing, say, no, you are not treating this guy very well? Did you hear it? No. My issue was even asked in Parliament. I think MP.
No, Honorable Nilanti Van der Poel.
Yes, asked them when this guy, the Minister for National Security, was being vetted or kind of. Yeah. They asked him this question, and he said, "Oh, the case is in court, and so let the." Meanwhile, they all knew right from the beginning that this thing was something, and yet they were pushing the agenda. And if I had taken a wrong step, I was going to be. And this is where it's just unfortunate. And with all respect, I'm also surprised at the judges who asked me to open my defense.
You're surprised
I'm
that
surprised.
They did ask you to open your defense?
Yes, they shouldn't have asked me, because everything they said in the judgment was available through cross-examination. Look, by the time they asked me to open my defense, they knew that these people had no evidence that the 20,000, the 2,000 was used for a coup d'etat. They knew through cross-examination. They knew that my statement about Arab Spring was an academic issue. And even more so, they knew that that portion of the platform was not disclosed. So it shouldn't even have, they shouldn't have even admitted that piece of evidence into that issue into evidence. What I'm saying here is the fact that people accuse you of an issue and yet they did not disclose the source. And as soon as they mention it, because I'm fast, I quickly disclose the source. And when I disclose the source, they will not take my source, and yet they admitted the source, the evidence that Francis Abuaji gave. Maybe let me put it this way. You claim that I made a statement on a particular platform, and which formed the basis for my prosecution. And yet you have not disclosed that platform. The platform is not in evidence. And so we come back to challenge it, and we say, okay, now we are bringing in that platform, the content of that platform, to evidence so that we can use it to defend ourselves. And the judges say no. They will not accept it in evidence.
Why?
There are a lot of judicial biases in this trial. And I can tell you that when you read it, you feel sorry that human beings should go through this, because we go to the court to get justice. But I can tell you that we don't always get justice. And I will advise people that when you are going to court, be open-minded and hope for the worst. And if it becomes the best, thank God. Because the kind of things I went through, I consider them as judicial biases, inconsistencies of the court. Let me give you a typical example of inconsistency of the court. They allowed the judges, and I'm being frank with you that the judges, they allowed the prosecution team to show videos and audios. And they told us that the videos will be shown and we will hear them and watch them before any issue of admissibility will be entertained. That was the principle they established right from the beginning. Now, when it came to my turn, and I also attached videos to my evidence, they now say that no, they had watched the video and it contained something that they didn't like, and therefore those videos cannot be watched.
That's the judge.
That is the judge. And these are clear inconsistencies from the judges. And I'm saying it loud and clear that the judges were so inconsistent, and I feel sorry for the ordinary person before the courts.
So from the police where you used to work,
yes,
through to NIB,
yes,
through to
Attorney General,
through
to the courts,
intelligence, through to the courts.
I'm telling you, there were too many biases cutting across all of them. And I have documented.
You didn't see fairness anywhere.
I didn't see fairness anywhere. And somebody will say, okay, but they acquitted you. They had no option than to acquit me because there was nothing they could lean on. There was absolutely in fact, if they got even the least thing, they could have linked me to it. But there was nothing they could. Somebody will say, okay, they could have sent you to jail. Fine, they could have sent me to jail in an arbitrary manner, but I would have come back anyway. I would have come back because it would have been a very look. There are too many injustices, and not only injustices, some corrupt practices in the judicial system, all of which I have chronicled in this book.
Are you seeking compensation?
We will do that at the right time. Yes, it's on the agenda. But you see, when I say this, some people say, but the fact remains that I wouldn't want to even start anything during these people's time. Yes, I don't trust them.
You don't want?
I don't trust them. I don't trust the system, the justice system. As I speak here, as I sit here, the justice system currently constituted, I don't trust it.
But that not much will change, even if there's a change of party.
You know, maybe there are too many influences.
Okay.
Maybe there are too many political influences in our justice system. So maybe when things change, the political influences will be lessened. I wouldn't say maybe completely eradicated, but maybe lessened. And it cuts across because there are many instances when we even come to policing issues, you see political interferences, okay? And I have lots of examples to give on those things. So when I say that I don't trust it as currently constituted, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. If anything, I may start it at a point when I'm sure that certain things are working. But for now, no, please. No.
Well, my guest is studio ACP retired Dr. Benjamine Agordzo. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll turn to elections.
Very good.
Because he's worked within the National Election Security Task Force before. So we'll turn to that and talk about our preparations for the elections, especially on matters that are related to security. So when we return, let's take this break. We'll be right back.
We once again want to say thank you for your time on the channel. Please, if you're a new member and you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so for us before logging out. Turn the notification bell on so that you'll be notified daily of anything that is happening on the channel. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.